He returns from Florence. He had received her letter. That letter blotted with tears, entreating, despairing. He had received it, but he loved her no longer. A young Florentine who had sat to him for model had bewitched his fancy, that fancy which had stood in place of a heart, and Gertrude had been half forgotten. If she had a rich suitor, good, let her marry him. Better for her, better far for himself. He had no wish to fetter himself with a wife. Had he not his art always? His eternal bride, his unchanging mistress. Thus he thought it wiser to delay his journey to Brunswick, so that he should arrive when the wedding was over, arrive in time to salute the bride, and the vows, the mystical fancies, the belief in his return, even after death, to the embrace of his beloved, gone out of his life, melted away forever in those foolish dreams of his boyhood. So on the 15th of June he enters Brunswick, by that very bridge on which she stood, the stars looking down on her the night before. He strolls across the bridge and down by the water's edge, a great rough dog at his heels, and the smoke from his short meerschaum pipe circling in blue breathes fantastically in the pure morning air. He has a sketchbook under his arm, and attracted now and then by some object that catches his artist's eye, stops to draw. A few weeds and pebbles on the river's brink, a crag on the opposite shore, a group of pollard willows in the distance. When he is done, he admires his drawing, shuts his sketchbook, empties the ashes from his pipe, refills from his tobacco pouch, sings the refrain of a gay drinking song, calls to his dog, smokes again, and walks on. Suddenly he opens his sketchbook again. This time, that which attracts him is a group of figures. But what is it? It's not a funeral, for there are no mourners. It's not a funeral, but a corpse lying on a rude bier, covered with an old sail carried between two bearers. It is not a funeral, for the bearers are fishermen in their everyday garb. About 100 yards from him they rest their burden on a bank. One stands at the head of the bier, the other throws himself down at the foot of it. And thus they form the perfect group. He walks back 2 or 3 paces, selects his point of sight, and begins to sketch a hurried outline. He has finished it before they move. He hears their voices, though he cannot hear their words, and wonders what they can be talking of. Presently he walks on and joins them. "You have a corpse there, my friends," he says. "Yes. Was washed ashore an hour ago. Drowned. Yes, drowned. A young girl, very handsome." "Suicides are always handsome," says the painter. Then he stands for a while idly smoking and meditating, looking at the sharp outline of the corpse and the stiff folds of the rough, thick canvas covering. Life is such a golden holiday for him, young, ambitious, clever, that it seems as though sorrow and death could have no part in his destiny. At last he says that, as this poor suicide is so handsome, he should like to make a sketch of her. He gives the fishermen some money, and they offer to remove the sailcloth that covers her features. No, he will do it himself. He lifts the rough, coarse, wet canvas from her face. What face? The face that shone on the dreams of his foolish boyhood. The face which was once the light of his uncle's home, his cousin Gertrude, his betrothed. He sees, as in one glance, while he draws one breath, the rigid features, the marble arms, the hands crossed on the cold bosom, and on the third finger of the left hand, the ring which had been his mother's. The golden circlet, the ring which, if he were to become blind, he could select it from 1,000 others by touch alone. But he is a genius and a metaphysician. Grief, true grief, is not for such as he. His first thought is flight anywhere out of that accursed city. Anywhere far from the brink of that hideous river. Anywhere away from remorse. Anywhere to forget.